Ice cream looks innocent enough. Creamy, cold, a simple summer treat. But for anyone over 50, what is hiding in that tub could be quietly raising your blood pressure, straining your kidneys, or interfering with your heart medication. Today, we are exposing 9 Canadian ice cream brands you need to avoid at all costs, and the 2 that are actually safe. For decades, Breyers built its entire reputation on one promise: natural ingredients, simple recipes, real ice cream the way your grandmother made it. They ran commercials showing families gathered around the table, spooning out bowls of what they claimed was wholesome, honest dairy goodness. But that promise? It was quietly broken years ago. Walk into any Canadian grocery store today and look carefully at the Breyers packages. Many of them no longer say ice cream at all. They say frozen dairy dessert. And that label change tells you everything you need to know about what happened to this brand. Under Canadian regulations, for a product to be called ice cream, it must contain at least 10% milk fat and a minimum of 36% solids by weight. Breyers quietly changed their formulas, swapping real cream for cheaper fillers, thickeners, and artificial ingredients. The result? Their product no longer qualifies as actual ice cream in Canada. The ingredient list tells the real story. Where there used to be just cream, milk, and sugar, you now find things like corn syrup, guar gum, tara gum, carob bean gum, and mono and diglycerides. Those last 2 are particularly concerning. Mono and diglycerides are industrial emulsifiers that can contain hidden trans fats. The CDC has linked trans fat consumption to at least 20,000 heart attacks per year in North America. The Institute of Medicine says there is no safe level to consume. For seniors managing cholesterol, blood pressure, or taking heart medications, these hidden ingredients can quietly undermine everything you are doing to protect yourself. You think you are enjoying a simple treat, but you are actually consuming a laboratory of additives that your body was never designed to process. And it gets worse. In 2024, Breyers faced an $8.85 million class action lawsuit settlement in the United States. The lawsuit alleged that their natural vanilla ice cream was falsely advertised. Consumers believed they were getting ice cream flavored with real vanilla beans. Instead, the product allegedly contained synthetic vanillin and non-vanilla plant flavors that were never disclosed on the packaging. The settlement required Breyers to reformulate their products. But how many people consumed years' worth of a product they believed was natural, only to discover they had been misled? In June 2025, Breyers issued another recall. Over 6,600 cases of their Rocky Road ice cream were mislabeled. The containers said chocolate truffle but actually contained Rocky Road with undeclared almonds. For anyone with a tree nut allergy, this mistake could have been fatal. The FDA classified it as a Class 2 recall, meaning exposure could cause temporary or medically reversible health consequences. This is the brand that promised you simplicity and natural ingredients. This is what that promise is actually worth. The name sounds European, sophisticated, premium. The elegant packaging suggests careful craftsmanship and the finest ingredients money can buy. Here is the truth. Häagen-Dazs was created in the Bronx, New York. The name was entirely made up to sound Danish, even though it means nothing in any Scandinavian language. From the very beginning, this brand was built on the illusion of quality rather than the reality of it. But surely the product itself is premium. Let us look at the record. In 2014, Häagen-Dazs had to recall 10,000 packages of their chocolate chip ice cream because of mismatched packaging. The containers actually held chocolate peanut butter ice cream, which contains peanuts. The ingredient list on the container made no mention of peanuts. For anyone with a peanut allergy, even touching or smelling the ice cream can trigger a severe, potentially fatal anaphylactic reaction. The FDA classified this as a Class 1 recall, their highest risk category, meaning there was a reasonable probability of serious injury or death. How does a premium brand with premium pricing make a mistake this dangerous? In 2022, the situation got even worse. Häagen-Dazs had to recall products globally, including in Canada, because their vanilla ice cream was contaminated with 2-chloroethanol, a toxic byproduct of ethylene oxide. Ethylene oxide is a heavily regulated chemical linked to cancer. It has no place anywhere near food production, yet somehow, it ended up in what is marketed as premium ice cream, sold to families across the country. The recall affected multiple flavors across 13 different products. In Canada alone, mint chocolate chip, vanilla, rocky road, pralines, and cream, all contaminated. Most recently, in November 2025, Häagen-Dazs had to recall their dark chocolate mini bars across 31 American states because they potentially contained undeclared wheat. This is another major allergen that can be life-threatening for people with celiac disease or wheat sensitivity. The FDA classified it as a Class 2 recall. And beyond the safety issues, there are the health concerns that come with every serving. A single Häagen-Dazs bar can contain up to 25 grams of sugar and 15 grams of saturated fat. That saturated fat content alone approaches the American Heart Association's recommended daily limit of 13 grams, based on a 2,000-calorie diet. For seniors managing diabetes, heart disease, or kidney function, those numbers add up quickly. One treat becomes a significant portion of your daily limit, leaving you little room for anything else. Doesn't it feel like grocery stores care more about fancy packaging than what is actually inside the product? Most people never learn how to protect themselves from these hidden dangers. But we are going to break it down at the very end of this video. Stick around, because what comes at the end could change how you shop forever. The commercials are seductive. Chocolate cracking under perfect teeth. Creamy vanilla cascading in slow motion. Magnum positions itself as an indulgent, sensual experience for sophisticated adults. But behind that glamorous marketing lies a troubling pattern of quality control failures. In 2024 alone, Magnum had multiple recalls across international markets. Their Magnum almond ice cream sticks were recalled because of the possible presence of plastic and metal. Their Magnum Classic ice cream sticks were recalled because they may contain pieces of metal. These are foreign objects that can cause choking, internal lacerations, and dental injuries. And they made it through Magnum's supposedly premium quality control processes. The Magnum white chocolate tubs were also recalled because they contained milk that was not written in English on the label. For anyone with a milk allergy relying on English ingredient labels, this was a serious safety failure. But the ingredient concerns go deeper than contamination. In China, Magnum faced a major controversy when consumers discovered that the products sold in their market used vegetable oil instead of the dairy fat used in European versions. The company was accused of operating a double standard, selling inferior products in certain markets while maintaining different formulations elsewhere. Here in Canada, the Magnum bars you buy contain significant amounts of coconut oil and vegetable oil in addition to dairy. These are cheaper ingredients that allow the company to maintain profit margins while charging premium prices. Each Magnum bar contains around 20 to 25 grams of sugar and 15 to 22 grams of fat, with roughly half of that being saturated fat. That is 7 to 11 grams of saturated fat in a single bar. For seniors watching their cholesterol or managing heart health, one Magnum bar can consume your entire daily saturated fat allowance before you have eaten anything else. And this is marketed as an occasional indulgence. At these numbers, even occasional consumption can add up to significant health impacts over time. This is perhaps the most beloved ice cream brand in North America. The quirky flavor names, the chunky mix-ins, the socially conscious marketing about fair trade and environmental responsibility. But behind the lovable hippie branding is a product that can be genuinely dangerous for seniors. Let us start with the sugar. A small serving at a Ben & Jerry's scoop shop, which is 2 scoops, can contain anywhere from 27 to 38 grams of added sugar, depending on the flavor. That is 7 to 9 teaspoons of sugar in what they call a small. The American Heart Association recommends that women consume no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day, and men no more than 38 grams. One small Ben & Jerry's serving can exceed an entire day's recommended sugar intake for women, and it uses up almost all of a man's daily allowance. For anyone managing diabetes, pre-diabetes, or trying to control blood sugar, these are not treats. They are blood sugar bombs. The Environmental Working Group analyzed Ben & Jerry's products and found some concerning patterns. Multiple flavors are classified as having high processing concerns. The ingredient lists include things like liquid sugar, corn syrup, coconut oil, soybean oil, and various gums and emulsifiers. The EWG calculates that some Ben & Jerry's flavors are 26% sugar by weight and contain 9 to 10 teaspoons of added and natural sugar per serving. They also note that some products contain high levels of saturated fat, which has long been known to raise LDL cholesterol. the bad cholesterol associated with heart disease and stroke. And while Ben & Jerry's emphasizes their use of fair trade ingredients, they do not emphasize what else goes into the product. Carrageenan, for example, appears in many of their formulations. Some research has linked carrageenan to digestive problems and intestinal inflammation. The degraded form of carrageenan has been classified as a possible human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. The playful flavor names distract from ingredient lists that would make a nutritionist wince. When you see names like fish food and half-baked and everything but thee, you are not thinking about the mono and diglycerides, the soy lecithin, or the multiple forms of sugar packed into every pint. Why do you think the cheapest, most fun-looking foods always seem to cause the most health problems? Coincidence? Want the real truth about what is hiding in your freezer? Subscribe now so you never get blindsided by hidden food dangers again. We are covering the brands that could actually be safe, but that information is coming only at the end. This is Walmart's store brand. The promise is simple. Same quality as name brands at a fraction of the price. Value for your hard-earned dollar. But when it comes to ice cream, that promise comes with some serious catches. Food experts have analyzed great value ice cream products and found concerning ingredient lists. The Great Value chocolate ice cream, for example, contains sweet cream buttermilk, but not actual cream. The rest of the ingredients include additives, preservatives, gums, and stabilizers that you would never find in homemade ice cream. Great Value. Peanut butter cup ice cream contains corn syrup, polysorbate 80, mono and diglycerides, guar gum, and carrageenan. Polysorbate 80 is an industrial emulsifier that research has linked to negative impacts on gut bacteria, which can contribute to weight gain, inflammation, and digestive problems. The experts at Eat This Not That point out that Walmart keeps costs low by using synthetic colorings, assorted emulsifiers, and even titanium dioxide for extra whiteness. Titanium dioxide has faced increasing scrutiny in recent years, with the European Union banning it as a food additive in 2022 due to genotoxicity concerns, meaning it may damage DNA. Yet here in Canada, titanium dioxide remains legal in food products. Why do you think the CFIA lets brands use ingredients that are banned in other countries? For seniors shopping on a fixed income, the savings look attractive. But when those savings come from substituting real ingredients with industrial chemicals, what are you really saving? A few dollars at the register could cost you much more in health consequences down the road. This goes beyond just great value. It includes no name, compliments, selection, and the dozens of other store brands that fill the budget section of the ice cream aisle. The pattern is consistent across nearly all of them. To hit those low price points, manufacturers replace real cream with cheaper alternatives. They bulk up the product with air, gums, and stabilizers. They use artificial flavors instead of real ingredients. Check the label on most budget ice creams, and you will find that milk and cream are not the first ingredients. Instead, you will see modified milk ingredients, skim milk powder, or whey. These are cheaper dairy byproducts that allow manufacturers to technically call the product a dairy dessert, while minimizing the actual dairy content. Many store brand products fall into the category of frozen dairy dessert rather than actual ice cream because they do not meet the regulatory requirements for milk fat content. But the packaging is designed to look as much like ice cream as possible, and they are placed right next to real ice cream in the freezer aisle. For seniors who grew up with ice cream made from cream, milk, eggs, and sugar, these products are imposters. They taste different. They feel different in your mouth. The texture is often described as gummy or artificial by people who pay attention, and the health implications are real. Many of these products contain high fructose corn syrup instead of sugar, artificial colors like yellow 5, blue 1, and red 40, and preservatives that extend shelf life but do nothing for your body. Red 40 and blue 1 are particularly concerning. The Environmental Working Group lists them as top food additives of concern. Some research has linked these artificial colors to hyperactivity in children, allergic reactions, and they may be potentially carcinogenic, although more research is needed. Don't go yet. The solution is coming at the very end of this video. Most people walk past the safe options without even knowing they exist. Stay until the end, and you will know exactly what to look for. You know the jingle. What would you do for a Klondike bar? It has been stuck in people's heads for decades. The marketing is nostalgic and fun, but the product itself has drifted far from anything your grandparents would recognize as ice cream. Klondike is owned by Unilever, the same multinational corporation that owns Ben & Jerry's, Breyers, and Magnum. In June 2025, Unilever was at the center of the Breyers recall for mislabeled products containing undeclared allergens. Look at the ingredient list for a Klondike frozen strawberry shortcake cone, and you will find that it contains no actual cream. Instead, it contains over 160 different ingredients, including glucose-fructose syrup, carrageenan, and numerous additives that have nothing to do with strawberries, shortcake, or ice cream. The Klondike vanilla ice cream sandwich is slightly better in that it at least contains some cream, but it is still loaded with ultra-processed ingredients that fall far short of what ice cream should be. For seniors watching sodium intake, be aware that many Klondike products contain more sodium than you might expect from a sweet treat. The sodium comes from the various processing agents and preservatives needed to keep these products stable on store shelves for extended periods. When food manufacturers prioritize shelf life over ingredient quality, it is the consumer who pays the price, not at the register, at the doctor's office. You may never have heard of Totally Cool, but you have almost certainly eaten their products. This company is a co-manufacturer for some of the most recognizable names in the ice cream industry. In the summer of 2024, Totally Cool was responsible for one of the largest ice cream recalls in recent memory. The recall affected over 70 different products due to potential Listeria contamination. Brands affected included Jenny's, Hershey's, Friendly's, and Chipich. Listeria is no minor inconvenience. For seniors, it can be deadly. The bacteria thrives in cold environments, which means freezers and ice. Cream production facilities are ideal breeding grounds. Symptoms include fever, muscle aches, stiff neck, severe headache, diarrhea, and vomiting. For people over 65, pregnant women, newborns, and anyone with a weakened immune system, Listeria can cause meningitis, blood infections, and death. The FDA lists Listeria as one of the most dangerous foodborne pathogens, specifically because of its ability to survive and even grow at refrigeration temperatures. The Totally Cool recall affected products distributed across the entire country to major retailers. Ice cream cakes, ice cream sandwiches, cones, and pints were all part of the recall. Some products had best-by dates extending into 2025, meaning contaminated products could still be sitting in people's freezers. This is the hidden infrastructure of the ice cream industry. Major brands outsource production to co-manufacturers, and when quality control fails at those facilities, multiple brands are affected simultaneously. Do you think recalls are accidents, or just the ones they actually got caught on? This is not a single brand. This is a category of deception that has taken over the ice cream industry. Real ice cream is simple: cream, milk, sugar, eggs, vanilla, or whatever flavor you choose. That is what ice cream has been for centuries. What fills supermarket freezers today is something else entirely. It is industrial food science designed to maximize profit while minimizing actual dairy content. It is products engineered to sit on shelves for months without degrading. It is frozen desserts formulated in laboratories to trigger maximum dopamine response with minimum nutritional value. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency requires ice cream to contain at least 10% milk fat. Products that do not meet this standard cannot legally be called ice cream. So, manufacturers switched to calling them frozen dairy desserts and hoped consumers would not notice the difference. But the difference matters. Real cream contains fat-soluble vitamins. It has natural flavor compounds that come from the grass the cows eat. It provides satiety that helps you feel satisfied after a reasonable portion. Industrial frozen desserts use modified milk ingredients, vegetable oils, and emulsifiers to create something that looks and sort of tastes like ice cream, but lacks any of the nutritional benefits. They add extra sugar to compensate for the missing richness of real cream. They pump in air to increase volume without increasing ingredient costs. Statistics show that Canadians consume approximately 8 liters of ice cream per person per year. If most of that consumption is industrial frozen dessert, rather than real ice cream, people are consuming significant quantities of additives, emulsifiers, and artificial ingredients over their lifetime. For seniors, already dealing with blood pressure medications, cholesterol management, or kidney function issues, these additives create an additional burden on body systems that are already working hard to stay healthy. Isn't it strange how billion-dollar food companies keep having recalls, yet their products are still on every shelf? The two brands that are actually worth it. We promised you solutions. Here they are. Kawartha Dairy is a proudly Canadian family-owned company that has been operating since 1937 in Ontario's cottage country. This is not some multinational corporation optimizing for quarterly profits. This is a family business that has built its reputation on quality over nearly 9 decades. The ice cream is made with fresh milk and fresh cream from Canadian farms. The ingredient lists are simple and readable. When you buy Kawartha Dairy ice cream, you can actually understand what you are eating. The company has earned extremely high ratings from consumers who describe the ice cream as rich, creamy, and nothing like the mass-produced alternatives. Multiple reviewers specifically note that it tastes like real ice cream, the kind their grandparents used to make, the kind they thought had disappeared from store shelves. Kawartha Dairy products are available across Ontario at their own dairy stores, and at many grocery retailers including Costco. The price is higher than budget brands, but you are paying for actual dairy, not industrial fillers and stabilizers. For seniors concerned about what goes into their bodies, Kawartha Dairy represents what ice cream used to be before the industry was taken over by cost-cutting multinationals. Chapman's is Canada's largest independently owned and operated ice cream manufacturer, based in Markdale, Ontario. Unlike the multinational conglomerates that dominate the industry, Chapman's is owned and operated by a Canadian family that has been in the business for generations. In 2009, a devastating fire gutted their production facility. The company could have taken the insurance money and walked away. Instead, they kept all of their employees on full pay while they rebuilt. That tells you something about their values. The rebuilt facilities are state-of-the-art, with extensive food safety protocols specifically designed to eliminate Lististeria contamination. The company invested heavily in drainage systems, sanitation procedures, and quality control measures that exceed industry standards. Chapman's offers a wide range of products, including allergen-free options, that are clearly labeled with a red peanut and nut-free flag. They were pioneers in creating products specifically for people with allergies. Understanding that these consumers have been underserved by an industry that treats cross-contamination as an acceptable risk, the company also offers no sugar-added and lactose-free options for seniors managing diabetes or digestive issues. These products are formulated with dietary restrictions in mind, not as an afterthought, but as a core part of their product development. Multiple food safety certifications, including BRC, British Retail Consortium, and HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, verify that Chapman's meets international standards for hygiene and safety. When the rest of the industry is cutting corners, Chapman's invested millions in doing things right. Not all ice cream is created equal. Some of it is not even ice cream at all. Some of it is industrial chemistry disguised as a summer treat. Now you know what to look for and what to avoid. But the food industry changes constantly. New products, new formulations, new ways to cut corners and maximize profits at the expense of your health. Subscribe now and I will show you what to avoid and what is actually safe every single week. Do not let the next recall catch you by surprise. Do not let the next misleading label fool you into thinking you are eating something wholesome when you are actually consuming a laboratory experiment. Your health is worth protecting. Your freezer should be safe. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again. Why do you think the CFIA lets brands use ingredients banned in other countries? Doesn't it feel like grocery stores care more about packaging than what's inside the food? Why is it always the cheapest foods that seem to cause the most health problems? Coincidence? Do you think recalls are accidents, or just the ones they actually got caught on? Isn't it strange how billion-dollar food companies keep having recalls, yet their products are still on every shelf?